people can claim to have made even an ounce or most or even all their dreams come true. But certainly our next guest has taken all the right decisions, made all the right moves to ensure that she makes her dreams a reality. The historian has been cooking up a culinary storm for over 4 decades and has made an indelible contribution into the food industry across the world. And of course, her contribution is not only cooking in the kitchen, but certainly has been in and out, because she has also paved the way for a lot of young women that had dreams of joining the food industry, and even men, of course, who have also lauded her for her contribution towards their careers. But certainly her own contribution is, you look at food plating, you look at recipe creation, you look at books that she has written that continue to inspire a lot of Makotis out there who are saying that they're trying to impress the in-laws. And who am I talking about? Find out in just a moment. Now, Mama, before we get into the book, I mean, for me, I'm just wondering, 40 years of iconic food, but we'll get to why we decided to call it 40 years of iconic food in just a moment. I just want us to, your journey is one that we've seen as little girls when our mothers would cut up the recipes in all the magazines where you are just, producing monthly. But firstly, where did it all begin for you? Was it always food? Was it always something that you thought you were going to go into?
Definitely not as a career. I mean, when I got married, like any young woman, you want to cook to impress mainly. It's like, my husband, it's almost like even when you're dating, it's like, oh, wow, you already have these plans of your home with smelling of good food. So I started like collecting recipes, also cutting them out, putting them in a notebook before I even got married. When the job that I was in, there's a lady, Usis Iris Grootboom, who used to be an amazing cook. So I used to follow her around. On my weekends, she'd go cook at weddings and as a caterer. And I would go with her and just learn from her and just help her. And then collect recipes. I used to make a lot of her recipes because those I could actually see practically. So by the time I got married, I had this notebook that was full of recipes, and I just continued just cooking those recipes. And a year or two into my marriage, my husband was in HR, and a friend of his was looking for someone to work as a cooking demonstrator. And I was working at market research then, pushing papers on the table, just bored out of my head, and I just didn't know what was going to be my next journey. And this job just fell onto my lap. And my husband was like, I've recommended you. I know you cook well. He used to enjoy my food. So this lady was looking for a cooking demonstrator. And I was like, listen, my wife is excellent. She can do this job.
And I mean, wow. Firstly, obviously, it's his biased opinion because he was the one tasting the food.
Yeah.
But you're now here, and they say to you, now you must be this food demonstrator. Was it just as easy as, being recommended to make that transition from the kitchen to now going and actually starting it as a career, as a food demonstrator?
Naturally, it would be difficult. It's a new world. I didn't know good food could be a career. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't even have a driver's license. They had to put me through driving school. So I was learning to drive this side, learning to cook. And it was like, quite intimidating at first. But I think I had just a lovely boss, She actually really held my hand, and she would bring all her notebooks from her home economics classes. She used to be a home economics teacher, and I was learning from her notebooks. This is how you make a white sauce, and then she would show me other things. But my job mainly was just to go to women's groups in the township and home economics classes and show them how to cook with canned foods. So it was basic recipes, really. So it didn't require much. But then naturally, if you're an ambitious person, and also I felt like I actually love this job. I can do this for the rest of my life, and I want to get to the top of this. So that's when I started learning, doing a cordon bleu chef's course, nutrition, cake icing. Yeah, so I learned everything on the job.
That is amazing. And you know, when one looks at your current offering, 40 years of iconic food, this is not just a food story. I mean, when I first picked up the copy, I thought, oh, Mom Dorah, okay, she's probably telling us how to make uchepe and this and that. But one digs into the book and you look at, you know, parts where you're sharing a piece of yourself with us. And that is something that I would say is a memoir.
Yes.
Because we're getting to know more about you and where you started with your love for food. But you start off with a very painful part of your childhood, which was in Niger. And that's where you are starting to have some kind of relationship with food, but it's not as good as anybody would think it would be.
Yeah. Yes, it was my father's family, my paternal grandfather. Yeah, so we were all kind of like, I don't know, we're living with my grandfather. I don't understand though, because my dad was a teacher. His two sisters were also teachers. So they were supposed to be kind of like well-off people. But somehow, maybe life for them to make the best of it, they had to put us with the grandparents. So then there was my my aunt who was like the firstborn in my father's family. So she obviously was not married, but she had her own children as well too. And then we were all kind of raised by her, and so she had to make ends meet, you know. Like the only thing that she had was like this vegetable patch at the back of the house, which actually helped us in summer when you had veggies, but in winter there was literally nothing. So, but then even it was also small because there were other rooms at the back, like a shack where my aunt lived. So it was quite a small space, but she could grow whatever she could. And so in summer it was easy. We'd have pap and spinach, pap and cabbage, you know, whatever she was growing at the back. But there were so many of us, so the food had to stretch. So most of the time you were kind of hungry, but it was breakfast, lunch and dinner, nothing in between. And also those meals were small, you know, because
it can't be as big as you want it to be.
no seconds.
And now you are there. There's no seconds. There's, you know, this little vegetable patch as a child, because sometimes you know how we are as children. You want to have seconds because you love something so much. What would that do to you when you know that your portion is just your portion and that's as far as it goes?
But you know nothing else, so that's life. So this hunger pang, you actually like think it's part of life, and you kind of get used to it. It becomes just part of you, and you only realize maybe during holidays when we visit my parents in Soweto that you can actually eat until you're full. You can actually have a slice of bread from the shops, because I mean in Niger we didn't even buy bread. Our breakfast in the morning is koko from last night, you know. So yeah, so in a way it was quite odd. I had these, it's almost like these two lives. I mean, like December for just a month, I'm with the parents and things are normal. Then, but for the rest of the year, I'm in Niger and
now you're introduced to a different world. Was this also in Niger where you wanted to pick up a millicorp?
Yes.
And unfortunately, somebody beat you to it.
Yeah, that was in Niger.
And do you mind sharing that story with us again? Because for me, it's one of those stories that struck me. You know, when I was looking at this millicorp and you're talking about it, I'm like, how? Wow.
Yeah, but you know, like, you know, when we were growing up, even now it still happens, but it was more common then. Every street corner, there are ladies who are selling corn. It's either boiled or most of it was grilled. Yeah, so, and then it would be also like at the corner where it's also a bus stop. There's just a lot of people. And I think I was walking from my aunt's house. And yeah, maybe you'll ask me, good, I'm from my aunt's house. Wasn't the food even at my aunt's house? But I think there wasn't, because I mean, I was walking from my aunt's house, but I was still hungry. So it means I was sent there to do something, but then I had to go back. So, and then I see this millie, someone had eaten just 2 rows and it's sitting on the ground, and like, it looks good, and it's just 1 or 2 rows eaten. Wow, I'd really love that because I'm so hungry. But now I'm so shy to just go and pick it up. and eat it like immediately. And I'm like thinking of how do I do it such that people don't even realize or notice that I've.
Yeah.
So I go around and I come back. Emily is no longer there.
Did you not just want to scream?
So maybe
at that
someone
moment?
braver had just gone and like, maybe another hungry child like me. Yeah, you don't know, home disappointed, like, oh, I could have had just like such a nice.
But Mama, isn't that, it's very ironic because when one reads, the first part and how you talk about your heritage, and it's interesting that you were born on Heritage Day, when one looks at this and this particular chapter in your story, it's amazing how that part of your life still shaped how your palate then began to develop. Because one would think, okay, I don't have food, and this is what we're exposed to, and certainly this is all there is to life.
Maybe because it's also like limited, you then develop very strong likings and a certain palate for certain foods. Because I mean, I love umroho even now. Giving me umroho nepapa.
I must teach you how to make it.
I'm just like so happy. Yeah, so it just takes me back. And I'm also, some people would say, yo, if fried cabbage in ngayo, I don't want it anymore. To the contrary, me, give me fried cabbage and pap. I'm happy. So all the foods that kind of like I ate when I was a small kid, I still enjoy them now. There is nothing I would say, oh, that reminds me of poverty. Because, I mean, it's food. So food is food. And we do tend to think of our African food as poverty food. And it isn't. It's good, wholesome food.
And that's the thing, because you mentioned something so important. Yazi, when you're having pap with cabbage, for example, people sometimes associate it with you not having money, and it's that bad day of the month. It's the day when you can't have meat. But certainly, it is wholesome.
It's wholesome. It's a wholesome plate of food. You've got your vitamins there. You've got your pap.
Yeah.
I mean, if you add beans, you've got like a wholesome plant-based meal.
And for people, it's almost as if you still have to go and have your sushis and all of that in order for you to have the right kind of food. So how then do you begin? Because I know this is something that has become passionate for you over the years, to make sure that we celebrate our food. We celebrate the food that we grew up, sigudla and all of that. And it's not just when we're having beans, it means asnamal. It means asnagudla. It means mele mhlambe uyocela kwamakhelwane so that you're able to have like a plate of meat.
Yes.
How did that come about for you, where you realized, you know what, we need to change our mindset?
I know working at True Love magazine, because my pages had to be like, the food was a variety of food. And at that time, we were all like, as a community, getting into this Western type of eating, like starting to cook about lasagna and stuff like that. So I had a lot of that in the magazine. I would have themes, go to this month we're cooking Italian, and I would do pasta dishes, another theme, maybe cooking Indian, then Indian curries. And then, but after some time I felt good, they were actually dominating the magazine. I wasn't doing much about our food. And I also was quite sad, ngoba, our younger girls, when they grow up, they won't have any reference. I mean, we already in our homes eating Western food. We don't cook that much of our African food. And I think in most homes, because now our children at my age, we're now like going to school, and we felt good they must concentrate on their books, and we're not like pulling them to the kitchen as we used to be in the kitchen at the age of 12. You're already making pap. But then it became different for us. Our girls were no longer making dombolo or cooking pap. So I felt they need a reference. It's fine. They get on with their education. I do believe if you can read, you can cook. So if the recipe is there, they will make. The time will come that they will make this food. So it needs to find a place somewhere. And what better place than in True Love magazine itself? So I just decided now I need to focus more on our traditional meals, and it mustn't be just a 1 month theme, but it must run through, as a thread through the magazine.
this book is really one for keeps. And certainly, as she says, it's not only about a book that is telling the story of food. It's a book that also gives you an inside track into her life and where she started, how she got to where she got to, the taste of Soweto, the different smells that then informed some of the meals that she would then make for her family, for those readers of all those magazines that she then worked for, and even some of those chefs. We're going to be talking about some of the people that influenced where she is today and who she has become, and really who played a critical role. But all of that and more. Just
Okay, here we are. That's my office.
okay.
That's my
Nice
kitchen.
office you have here. Now, Ma, we're here in your office.
Yes.
What's in store for us?
So sizoqala ngojeqe
Okay.
ke idombolo as I know it.
Mama is not going to be happy with you.
No. So the secret with, I don't think it's even a secret, you know, it's just like that's the normal way to make it. And people always like think there's a secret to a certain thing. But I mean, these are your ingredients and this is how they are. And
Are you
these
sure, Mama,
ingredients,
there's no secret though?
you know, you can enhance and add something.
Okay,
Like me,
okay.
to my dombolo, I would add an egg. You don't have to. It's just an optional extra.
Why do you add it?
So that it's nice and fluffy.
Oh,
I like fluffy dombolo.
that's one secret.
Isn't it a secret? The thing is, there's nothing wrong with ucheko that does not have an egg.
Okay.
And it's kind of like more dense. That's also quite nice. So you'll need about 4 cups, 4 to 6 cups of flour, which I'm going to just add into my
Okay.
bowl. And then to that, you need, so Mina, what you have to make sure that you add your sugar and your salt, because those two things, they actually help the yeast. So with the yeast, you have to have the sugar and you have to have the,
Okay.
so the sugar is up to you. I put like a tablespoon and a teaspoon of
So the salt is also helping the rising
the,
process,
yes,
ne?
yeah.
Okay.
The sugar and you need both of them
Aha,
for
okay.
your dombolo to rise nicely. And that's your whole packet of instant yeast. So you've got all these together. I'll just like kinda maybe just mix them together and then open a kind of like a hole in the middle. And then, like I said, my secret would be the egg, which you actually don't have to add.
I'm going to try it though with the
You're
egg.
going to try it?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going to
So
try
I
it
break
with
it
the
into a bowl just to make sure Guti, it doesn't have like little speckles of blood or I moshakalanga. And then that goes into the hole. And then what I'll do also, which is something that's an optional extra, which you don't have to do, is just like a tablespoon of oil.
Ah.
Can just be your sunflower oil. And then to that, I need to add lukewarm water. The water has to be lukewarm. If it's not lukewarm, what's going to happen is that it's going to kill the yeast. So the yeast needs this warm mixture.
In order for it to do its job.
Yeah,
Okay.
in order for it to do its job. And then it's all mixed together. And then once everything is mixed completely together, then you have to knead. And you know, which people sometimes they'll just need 1-2 minutes and stop. Just try to make it like a good 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you then knead your flour together. So it's better to start actually with little water, and then if you feel good it's stiff, then add a bit more water.
And
But
Mama, who did you see first make it when you were growing up, and where did you pick up your
Well,
love
it's-
for dombolo?
I think idombolo nje, when we were growing up, idombolo was something that was always there, you know. It's like, so we'll need a bit of some local water, because I think this is just,
Do you want me to get it for you?
Yes.
Okay.
maybe use that. There's the kettle behind you. I think the water is lukewarm. So I think also when I was growing up, when I was little, it wasn't just idombolo. We also used to have something that they used to call iqebelengwane
Okay.
or liqebekwane. And it also like, let me just test this water, which is not too
Is it
hot.
perfect?
Because if it's too hot, then it's also a problem. So you have your water, and then some people prefer idombolo early mans, and then mina I wanted to just have like a nice just a nice texture.
Okay.
So you just knead this together. And then I always prefer to then take it out of the bowl and put it on the table.
Yes.
Which means will need to get some flour.
Okay, just to put
dust.
on here.
Yeah.
So where do you put your flour so I can look for it? It's this one, ain't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So you just need to sprinkle.
So how much do I sprinkle?
Just a bit.
Okay.
So now we just you're now kneading it until it's all together.
And one thing that fascinates me is that, in all of what you did, and you've traveled quite a lot, you've done a lot. I mean, at some point you were even the editor of True Love. In all of this time, where did you find time to fit all in? I mean, to be a mama, to be a wife, to be, a cook, to be an editor, to just doing it all.
It was all in my life, and I don't know. It's almost like I feel like I was blessed to be doing a job that felt like part of my life. It was just an extension of my lifestyle, and so it didn't feel. I don't know. It was just like I just went on with life.
That is
it's
amazing.
only now when people ask me, I'm like, how did you fit it in?
Yeah, because it's like it's juggling a lot. And when you look at it as well, you have, as you talk about him in the book, your amazing late husband,
yes,
who also played a role in really the support system that you needed at the time, and also your mother.
Yes, when I was traveling, I knew that my kids are taken care of because my husband was a real present dad. I mean, he was there all the time. And I had a helper. Auntie was with us for a good 17 years.
Wow.
So when she joined us, Pumi was a year. And I think she was with us until Pumi went to varsity. So she was actually looking after my kids whilst I was away. And then my mother was also there, so my kids would then go. But I also tried to all my travels. I make sure I'm home a weekend to look after my kids.
And the importance of what you're mentioning is also just, the importance of a support structure for you to be able to do what you have to do and to follow your passion as well. That also played a crucial role.
It did.
In making sure that you get to where you are. It
did. Also, like I say in the book, my husband was my number one fan. He loved everything I did. So he never make me feel kind of guilty about traveling. Yeah, so it was just everything just worked, together for good.
Oh, wow.
Everything was just,
I just love this love story. When one really reads about it here, you realize just how supportive he was. And especially, I love the part when you talk about how he would brag about what you do. And
I would be like, yeah, it's enough now. And they'd go on and on, and they used to call me Umastole. No, Masti did this, Masti. No, Mastole, Masti. And I was like, and people in my family would say, she's actually not Mastole, because Mastole is if that was her maiden surname, because I'm Mabena. So he was supposed to call me his Bongo Samsisekai, but from day one he was calling me Mastole. So, yeah.
I think he realized you two were made for each other, and that's it. And for him, it didn't even feel it was an extension.
Name is, it's a name that I use.
And Ma, he wasn't the only person that played a role in your life. You also had Umani, you also had your mom, you also had, auntie that you say was with you for a very long time. And I'm also fascinated when you talk about the story and how it crumbled in the oven, because the oven was malfunctioning.
Yes.
But how important was it for you to have these women in all different spheres just influencing your life and your story?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because, my life, Umani, besides her just looking after us as kids, she was also I would say an artist, because she used to weave baskets.
Wow.
So as a young kid, I would sit next to her and then and she would sit on ikansi, they would sit on ikansi, and she would be making these nice baskets, your baskets there, laundry baskets and little furniture, chairs, and then she'd go sell them in the suburbs for clothes, old clothes, which was quite sad. And then bring those old clothes back home, and then those old clothes too, then as men there or do whatever, and then sell them. So that's how she used to make a bit of money, but most of the time she was at home just kind of like making these mats, and I would sit with her. So she was quite arty. So I think I get my creativity from her.
I see with your home as well, because
Yeah.
when you walk around, you see every little piece has got an artistic flavor, you know, from the vase to everything else. I can
thank you.
see
Yeah.
that you really took that, you know, from her.
Yeah, from her. And then growing up, my mother was a seamstress, was a dressmaker. She was always making all these beautiful dresses. So I was kind of like a well-dressed little girl in my area because of all the
Oh, wow.
the dresses that she made for me. Yeah, and my aunt Heidelberg, which is my mother's home, she was also quite a strong woman. That one was a strong woman, you know, like they would like say, yeah, I think she was like resilient and very strong, like, you know, men bebangam sugeli nje, because she just like was such a strong personality. And yeah, so I was always surrounded. And then at church, of course, at church you're surrounded by women all the time. They're teaching you all kinds of things. So that was my life.
And would you say in all of this, particularly as you mentioned, because you have resilience, Ma, I mean, it doesn't take someone who doesn't have resilience to do 40 years in an industry like this one, because when you think about it, you are like, I always, you know, when I was told I'm doing an interview with you, I said I'm doing an interview with the original celebrity chef, you know. So for you doing it in your time, uwedwa, and there was no other, you know, black chef in your field, and you're not doing this work. But how important was it for you to make sure that you have the resilience? Because certainly being alone and trying to break barriers at that time, it was not easy.
It wasn't easy. It's about passion and love. When you really love something, you will fight for it, and you'll stay focused in it. Because it was, for me, it was like, I love this career and I'm going to make the best out of it. I'm going to go to the top of it. And of course you have like, my role models at that time were obviously white women who were like food stylists and food editors, and the chefs who were working in these 5-star kitchens. So I was like, I'm going to be like that. You know, it doesn't end here. I'm just not going to be just a cooking demonstrator driving out, which was fantastic. It was just like an amazing thing to give back to the community. But on top of that, I needed to make sure that I really take this career right to the top.
And you know, talking about taking it to the top, do you feel like when you look at what you've done so far, I mean, this book is amazing, but I think you owe us a Cape to Cairo installment with a bit more recipes from around the continent?
I actually believe so. You know, like, God willing, I would love to travel again, because Cape to Cairo has about 25 African countries. And I mean, Africa is big. I'm sure we have about 56. So I need to travel some more. And I love traveling. So I would like to maybe add on another 10 or even more. So, and then do a Cape to Cairo number 3.
So I'll be keeping my eye on
you.
Now, I want
as we talk. So
really?
I need to put it in a bowl so it rises nicely. It's fine. It's no problem.
Now, because we still need to make sure they learn the recipe. When you're done with this, le riser for how long? Because some people put it on for an hour.
Doesn't really matter, because it's got to be double in size.
Okay.
You know, the size that it is now, we're going to put it in a greased bowl. It's got to double in size. And once it's double in size, you knock it down. By knocking down, if your recipe says knock down, it means like we're over 40, and then you put it back into another clean bowl, and you let it rise again to double the size. Meanwhile, your water is steaming. Your water has to be steaming, and then you put the bowl in. Just make sure the water is not high. The water has to be like this high up your bowl, and then it will steam nicely. You know, I know Konamati, the people, they do all kinds of fancy things, put the mixture in muffin tins. I mean, that's also
I tell you, nice. I'm going to allow us just to put it in there so that and all of that, because the final product. I tell you, remember what I said about Mom Dorah making her dreams come true? Trust me, this recipe is really a depiction of a life that she's had to, you know, put in resilience, put in dedication, hard work, but make sure that everything is just right, and making sure that she takes each and every single opportunity that was presented her way. So we're going to allow idombolo lethu, or as Unoma would call it, to check. We're going to allow it to rise. And then when we are done, you're going to see the final product. So all pretend like I'm the one that made it. Thanks for staying with us here on Newsroom Africa, Channel 405. My name is Bongiwe Zwane, and I'm in conversation with Dorah Sithole. Mama, before we went for the break, we were talking about it, Dombolo, and quite interestingly enough, we're talking just about what, all these ingredients that go into making it and making sure that it is perfect. And almost, I feel like that is a depiction of your life, because every part of you has become an ingredient of this recipe that then became the gift that is Dorah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And when you talk about, your journey, I know that you've done a lot, and you've done a lot of Western cuisine, but I just want us to talk about some of the people that through your journey you had the pleasure of meeting, you had the honor of cooking for, and I'm sure they did love your food. They had no choice.
I hope so. I really hope so, because like early in jail, and as I started in my career, kind of people you look up to, like for instance the late Dr. Billy Gallagher, who was the SA Chefs president then. And he was the president for maybe a long time, because he was actually that good. So I always looked up to him. And I think when I got my first award, which was the SA Chef's President's Award, I got a chance to cook at one of the big hotels with the other chefs, and then cooked for him. I think that kind of made me feel like, wow, to be accepted in that fold. My chefs of South Africa just makes you feel good, because as a food writer or a food editor, you are not in those hot kitchens. And sometimes you think, they probably think we're not working as hard as they do.
Yes, they think everything is prepared for and it's bought
meanwhile
from
we do
the store.
also. So when they accept you into that fold and it actually even give you an award, or good you've contributed to the hospitality, business in the country, that was amazing for me, cooking for Dr. Billy Gallagher. And also, I think I loved, I went on a trip to Italy to go cook for the former President Mbeki. I hope he tasted something and said, wow, this
really good.
Tastes good. Because I
it's from
flew
home.
there especially to go cook for, he was with other South African business people, and I had to cook at a 5-star hotel there for them. So that,
Certainly beautiful memories. And what else are we making? Because I know it's not only dombolo, but there's other things as well that are coming.
We're going to make jollof, the controversial jollof rice, which I love very much. And I was like, okay, I'll find a perfect recipe that resonates with me, and I'll stick to that.
Okay.
Be it Nigerian or Ghanaian,
I was about to ask,
story.
where are you placing it? Because we all know everybody's claiming
this jollof rice. I was like, this is my interpretation of the jollof rice, and I love it, and I live it. So we're making a jollof rice, and then we're also making a butter chicken. One of my memorable trips was going to India, which I just loved so much. The culture, the organized chaos, sometimes disorganized chaos, the traffic, the people, the smells, the sounds, the saris. It was just amazing. So I love butter chicken, so we're going to have a butter chicken as well, and we'll just have it maybe with a basmati rice.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we can also have, I like combining flavors, like having it butter chicken with it ujeke. For me, it's just...
Does it work?
Butter chicken is stew at the end of the day.
And
people they're always saying ukari, and ukari no chutney. It's like they love gravies and...
I'm in the hands of greatness here, so I can't claim, my usual kitchen things that I do there and bring them here. I must ask if it works with the chef or it doesn't.
Will work, but I will also have a roti as well
to
go with. So we'll have ujeke and the butter chicken and the jollof rice. That's a lot of food I'm cooking for you.
Yeah.
And the jollof rice.
There goes my diet.
I'm also making you a lovely, lovely lemonade, because that also takes me back, to my childhood. But lemonade was the easiest thing to make. You just squeeze some lemons and you add sugar and you have a drink.
Now, I've got my recipe recipe book in hand. We're now diving around the world. We're in India. What are we making?
So we're making a butter chicken, which is just one of my favorite curries. Yeah, so I'll begin with just making sure our pot is nice and hot. Yeah, so this is butter chicken. I'll go through the ingredients. You're going to need 100 grams of butter, and it has to be butter. That's why it's called butter chicken. So you don't bring margarine or wholesome or whatever. It's butter chicken, so there's our butter. And then we're going to need your chicken. So I'm using chicken thighs. You can buy chicken thighs that are already boned. Because I find the chicken thigh nice and tender. So this is your chicken thigh for your butter lento. And then after that, once we've browned this, because you always brown your meat just to just try and seal in the flavors. Once we've browned that, then we go with our onion, our ginger, our all our spices, because it's quite spicy. These are all the spices we're going to need. And then you just make it nice and fragrant. And then we're going to add tomato puree and some sugar, just for that acid that's in the tomato. And then we'll just let that cook until it's nice and soft. Right at the end, we're going to then add yogurt, cream, and some lemon juice.
Nice, I can't wait. So let's get into it. So I think, while we are cooking, I'd like us just to also talk about a little bit more from your book, and especially because you are someone that believes, Uti, it's not a shame to look at your recipe book while you're cooking.
While you're cooking.
Think like you can't cook if you do that.
Yes, I think it comes, it's an old-fashioned thing. I know, Nami, when I was like a young Makoti, people would be like, oh, upheka recipe, I mean, you need to cook the recipe so that you follow the instructions. Surely the recipes that you make all the time, you will get to memorize them and just make them out of your head. But there's no shame in just using your recipe all the time. So I'll just fry this chicken in batches, not all of it, because I need it to all brown equally, So I've got the chicken browning there. And then once that is browned, I'm going to put it in a bowl and then add the rest of the chicken, and then we just continue. Yeah, so a butter chicken, like I said, is just one of those recipes that are very popular in Indian food, and you can serve it afterwards with either basmati rice or roti or naan bread. Yeah, so I hope my stove is hot enough.
Looks like it's hot enough.
Yeah. But you know what? My pot is big enough also to take all this chicken at the same time, because I never want to fill up the pot and then any chicken kind of gets compromised and it doesn't get the heat. So I think I'll do it all together, and then as long as your heat is nice and high, so that it browns nicely.
So the heat must be high.
The heat must be high.
Okay.
When you're cooking with butter also, you don't have to wait for it to melt completely, because once it starts melting, then it goes dark. So nice selling before it melts completely, then add your chicken.
Okay.
Yeah. So one might say, so much butter. It is butter chicken.
Look, it's butter chicken. It can't be anything else.
It can't be anything else. Yeah.
I can tell you. And now, so after you've browned it, I mean, are we still removing it to add the onions and everything else?
You know what? We're removing it so that you make a nice sauce. Because you want, with all your spices, when you're making Indian dishes, you cook your spices with your onion, or sometimes some of the spices, especially the whole ones, you'll cook them on their own, because you want the flavor, your spices to get released.
And the trick is always in the spices, because you've got to balance everything right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just cut your chicken into like bite-sized pieces. If you want to like it breast, you can use that, filleted breast. But the thing with it butter chicken, you don't have bones in it. So pour in a tomato puree, the whole tin. It's about for 10 grams.
We're adding sugar.
And then how much sugar? We need about?
Sugar, we are adding, let me see, quickly. It's 1 tablespoon.
1 tablespoon. Okay. So with savories, you can, like at this stage, feel good when you need more sugar and add 2 tablespoons. The only recipes you have to follow to a T is baking. With savory, but don't deviate too much from the recipe, because I think at the end of the day, you have to respect the person that developed that recipe.
Yes.
And for the first time, when you make it, just make it as it is. And then next time, yeah, then you decide, I don't like
add 1, 2, 3.
coriander, I don't like, and then you can change it the way you want to. So at this stage, I'm going to just close it.
Yes.
And then just turn down the heat and let it simmer gently.
It smells amazing.
Yeah.
It smells amazing. So
I think it
next up,
simmers for how long?
it simmers for 10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes
It's-
only?
Yes, we cook
Okay.
for 10 minutes.
And then,
then
but
once
then
the
what
sauce
we
is
didn't do, we
thick-
didn't season, ne?
Aha, we need to season with salt and pepper.
Yeah, so that's your black pepper. And then some salt. And then we just allow it to simmer for 10 minutes. And then we're going to add, I'll probably leave it for just a bit longer, maybe
Okay.
just about 15 minutes. It really doesn't matter, because I want the chicken to cook through.
Yeah.
And
And,
then-
be nice and soft.
Yes.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
just leaving it there, leaving that. And then we're going to come back to it and then add our cream
Uh-huh.
and the yogurt
And the lemon.
and the lemon.
Perfect. Perfect. Now we're letting that to rest. Then now we need, what else are we making?
We're making it jollof.
Okay.
Jollof rice.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. The next one is the jollof rice.
The next one is the jollof rice.
Okay.
So I'll bring all my ingredients here.
Well, our food is ready. And I can tell you, I wish you all were here just to join in with me, but we'll show you what Dorah has made for us in just a moment. I certainly cannot wait, just to dig my hands into that amazing food that she has made for us. And you don't want to miss this particular thing. Well, who wouldn't like this part? I mean, honestly, Mama, we're spoiled for choice. What do we have here? Let's remind the viewers of what we have.
Wow. We have our lemonade, of course, which was like quick and easy. And then we have our jollof rice, which you would normally just have on its own.
It certainly looks like you can.
Yes, yeah, but some people add chicken to their jollof, but I always love it plain.
Okay.
And then we've got our butter chicken, which you're going to serve with your roti. And then we've got ujeqe or idombolo, and this I made because you requested it.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't blend with the land. It still goes with the smell, because can you imagine ujeqe?
And it looks fluffy. It looks so fluffy.
It's nice and fluffy. Like I said, that extra oil in the egg give it this.
I can certainly see what it did. So I'm leaning towards there as well.
And then to finish off our meal, we've got lemon meringue pies, which are also in my book, and it's quite an easy recipe.
Nice. Remember, here's the book, and this is what it looks like. This is what the book looks like. I tell you, these recipes and this memoir is really something so special. And I mean, when you see your finished products, I'm sure all the time, I mean, it's been 40 years, and when people really say to you, it looks amazing, do you get a sense of accomplishment?
I do, yeah. I get just like that, my heart smiles, because I just feel, oh, wow.
Like my heart is smiling right now. My heart is smiling right now. And I certainly think we can dig in and taste and see if we are happy with it. But while we do that, I also just want to know, I mean, you've done so much. You're supposed to be in retirement, but you're not stopping anytime soon.
I'm not stopping.
What's happening? What's next?
What's next? Like I said, I think we spoke earlier, which I still want to travel. If I could bring another Cape to Cairo, maybe a final one with more African countries, I would love that. And I really would like now do my cooking school. I know I've been doing cooking schools throughout True Love, but even now, I still feel like kind of owe it, you know,
You owe it
to
to
our
us.
people
Yeah.
to just impart those skills.
Yes.
So that's something I would like to formalize and just,
That's nice.
yeah.
You see, I mean, if you're wondering how to make all of this happen, a school is on the cards. A school is coming. I certainly I know I'm going to be in some of the classes to
Hope
get my
so.
lessons. Certainly I'm coming. And Ma, I mean, apart from the cooking, I know that you've got grandkids that you love so dearly.
I love
I'm sure you're going to be
kids,
spending
yeah.
a lot more time with them as well.
Yes, yeah. My daughter is coming from New York at the end of November, around the 17th, I think, and she'll be here all of December. So we'll be spending Christmas together.
When a man was a man and a friend was a friend.
My grandsons are in and out of this house all the time, but then come December we spend more time together. Yeah, my son Usibusiso and my daughter-in-law Vuntlandla are always in and out, and you've met to Ayanda. So it's quite a busy home. And Norma is just like a regular.
Of course, she is here all the time. Now, Ma, your daughter in New York, we can't not talk about her and the big things that she's doing. Certainly, that for you must be a proud moment.
It is a proud moment, and it was quite a coincidence. We didn't even plan it, that she appeared on Star Trek last week. Was it Thursday when it was on Netflix? Friday. I think Thursday in the States.
And then Friday here, yes.
Friday here.
Yes.
So, and then my book also comes out the same week. So it was actually
So Abakwa Sithole, we're doing big things.
wow, yeah, it was like amazing. You know, like in the same week, and then we had these two blessings, you know, celebrating my book and celebrating her being on Star Trek.
And it must feel wonderful for her because when you listen to her story and how she ultimately got there, she was starting to give up on all these auditions that she had been going to. And just at that moment, on the brink of giving up, something
came Star Trek,
big
and
happened.
Yeah, and can you imagine, Guti? I think their industry is quite. Competition is stiff, I think, and you know, anything goes there, because if you don't get a part, sometimes it's not even about you. It's because maybe there's something else that they need, or there's something they prefer on that other person. But then you know what it does to young people. Yeah, you know, rejection
it really
is
messes
never
with
nice.
your confidence.
Yeah,
You feel like there's nothing that you have to offer.
Yeah, but then she's been blessed. I mean, she was on Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
She was on what's the other lawyer series?
I haven't seen that one.
The Good Fight.
Okay.
Yes. She was on The Good Fight. She was in Orange is the New Black, and now she's in Star Trek.
So she's well on her way to being an icon
I
again.
hope
now.
so.
She's well on her way. She started. It clearly runs in the veins. Like was told us, I'd like us, Mama, to start. Can we please start get lemonade?
Yes.
Because it's one thing I've been looking forward to.
And something that you're going to be definitely making from time to time. We sometimes forget good lemonade is just one of the easiest drinks to make, and actually quite tasty.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's in my book as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's so refreshing, particularly when you think of a hot summer's day. December's coming, and this is the perfect way
drink, yes.
to just cool off. Scallop.
Where do you want to start?
I don't know. I'm overwhelmed.
Maybe let's do the jollof rice first.
I'm overwhelmed.
Because
it all looks
this
so
is
good.
saucy. So maybe let's start with the jollof rice, and then we can have the butter chicken and the roti, or whichever you prefer.
Let's start.
I don't know if you want to have both roti, no jeqe, or dombolo.
Let me start with the jollof ngizwe.
You want to put them all in the same plate? It's
I'm
really up to you.
I'm going to try now first jollof because it just looks so amazing.
Yeah, it takes a bit of chili as well, but it's up to you. You don't have to.
I
have it
tried to
hot.
run away from the chili.
Okay.
I tried to run away.
Good for you, because you also don't want it to kind of like now paralyze your tongue.
And I
you
will
can't
not have
taste
too much
other
of it
things.
jollof because I'm saving. I'm sure the viewers know ukuthi ngilindwe check more than anything. Let's taste and
Mine had chili, so I'm happy.
Mine doesn't, but I tell you, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And I love the fact that all the flavors blended in
Yes.
very nicely, and the rice is not overcooked
Yeah,
because other people overcook it.
Yeah, you just parboil it a bit, like half cook it, and then make that sauce, remember? And you just cook it in the sauce.
I think the trick then is in parboiling it, so you can't cook it to perfection before you actually put it together. Okay.
It's just halfway. It's actually so nice, eh?
I wish you could be having this with me, but certainly this is amazing. I can tell you the crew here is just marveling because they know that this food looks amazing and certainly are thinking that they're going to get to taste it, but I'm going to finish it alone before
So
they even get to
Can I
it.
pass you?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Because
I'll take a piece.
a piece, okay. So you'd rather have your butter chicken with ujek than
I think I'll
the
have
goat?
it with the check. I really think I'll
Okay.
have it with the check. I'll have it with the check. Thank you.
I think it will be easier if you do it yourself. I'll have a roti.
Oh. I tell you guys, this looks amazing. I'm actually even going to put it at the top just to have the gravy. Don't know what you're missing out on. So if you
I'll
want,
just move this to the side
Thank
so that
you.
you have more room to.
so let's do this.
And that's the butter chicken we made together.
I know, Mama, and now it's going to be my go-to
So
meal.
now you know it by
Now
head.
I'm not going to cheat
You
it.
don't have to bake to cook it by head. You can always refer to my recipe.
And I'm not going
Don't
to
have to
cheat it anymore
memorize.
and get the sauces that are ready. I'm now going to start it from scratch using your book.
Because it really is like easy. It is nice, eh?
And ujeko is just right.
If you eat it the Indian way, you actually eat it ngezandla. They eat. So you just have your roti and your. So that's the Indian way of eating.
Okay. And I will do the Zulu way
Ngoje.
of eating it ngojeko wamla.
Awesome.
I tell you, yonke imicimbi engiyihambayo ujeko will be my specialty.
Yeah. Do you
After
think we
this.
should leave some for the crew or we should just finish?
To be honest with you, we're finishing this food. So to the team, I apologize in advance because I certainly cannot give you any more. This is lovely. And Ma, apart from, you know, the family and traveling and having another book and all of that, what are you going to be doing for yourself?
For myself? I think
Not traveling to put together another book, but just for you. What are you going to be doing? How are
I
you going
also-
to
I
spend
love
it?
traveling. So, I mean, traveling for the book will be if I have to travel to more African countries. As a rule, nje, I always try go to in a year. I go to 2 international destinations because I love traveling.
That's a good rule.
But then this year was a write-off.
Ash,
Yeah.
I know, 2020.
Yeah. So I'll still be traveling. I'll always travel, I think, as long as my body can carry me.
And I mean, as we end off this discussion, where do you see the industry going? I mean, you've made a lot of a contribution. You're seeing, as we spoke earlier, a lot more of your sons and daughters are starting to come into it. And even if it's not physical sons and daughters, but these are people who you've inspired up to this
yeah.
point.
I mean, they're all like my daughters, really.
You know, yeah.
They all call me Mom D, and it sounds so great.
And so for you, this industry, where are you seeing it going?
You know what? I think at the end of the day, what we're aiming for is that our food should be recognized globally. You know, I think at the moment, I mean, my son at the age of 11 is eating sushi, but I don't think a little boy in Japan eats ujek. You understand? So I'm like, why isn't our food known globally? So I think all the younger chefs that are coming up, I know a lot of them are embracing African food, and I think they will begin to cook it more. And the more they cook it, the more it will be recognized internationally.
And as a final one, your book is out. What are you hoping someone who buys takes from it?
Oh, I feel so good. Okay.
I just hope it will be like kind of like a well-thumbed book. You know, it will sit on the shelves, on the kitchen shelves, and not somewhere in a bookshelf in the bedroom or in the study, but it will just take a place of pride in the kitchen, because the recipes that are there are quite simple, are recipes that you want to make like on a daily basis, and then it will just come in handy when you're entertaining. And I really, for me, it's like just a gift to Mzansi from my heart, that, you know, here's something from me that you can just use as your guide, as your companion, and yeah, just have it in your kitchen, and it will produce all the lovely, wonderful meals that are in there and make your family happy.
Well, I certainly do hope Mzansi receives it with the love that it deserves. And thank you so much, Mama, because honestly, this is not a moment that we take lightly, to have to sit with such an icon. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. So thank you for welcoming us into your home.
My pleasure.
And really just sharing yourself with the viewers, because I'm certain they are going to, you know, continue loving the story and the work that you continue, you know, producing. Well, that's it from me and Dorah, and thank you so much for having spent the hour with us. And certainly, you know, we are going to be digging into more food, as you can see here. But that's it from us for today. Have a good afternoon.